Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today is Monday, August 18, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Texas House Democrats return after a 2-week walkout. What do you think happened? Easy. Republicans passed the new maps that decimates black political power in Texas. We'll talk to 2 Texas state reps, African Americans, who were not there. Thank goodness. Donald Trump wants to keep rigging elections. Now he says he wants to get rid of voting machines and mail-in balloting. What an absolute idiot. Over the weekend, I was in Indianapolis for the Live Golf Tournament. I'll show you a couple of things that happened there. Also, Fit Live Win segment, we'll talk about breast cancer. And Spike Lee's new movie with Denzel Washington is out in theaters. We'll show you what Spike had to say about that. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Side Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Well, folks, I told y'all last week that if Texas House Democrats came back to allow Republicans to have a quorum, they will quickly pass new maps that decimates Democrats in the state. In addition, they'll also be decimating black power. Well, what happened? Well, House Democrats came back and the Republicans passed the map. Okay, so what actually got accomplished? Now, we know California is moving ahead to do what they are going to be doing, but I made perfectly clear that if you represent Texas, you should be fighting on behalf of Texas residents. That's what you are elected to do. Now, a number of black lawmakers, not all, and trust me, I'm going to show the faces of those who did show up today for the quorum. No black lawmakers were not there. They made perfectly clear that they could not, in good conscience, do that. You also had some others as well. Trey Martinez-Fisher out of San Antonio sent a statement from Illinois saying that he could not, in good conscience, do the exact same thing. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if you return, you know what was going to happen. And the issue that I had is Democrats, of course, were selling wolf tickets. They basically were telling people, oh, we were in it for the long haul, when the long haul only lasted 2 weeks. Joining us right now, State Reps Aichea Davis as well as Jolanda Jones. Glad to have both of y'all here on the show. Thank you so very much. I just, you know, the thing that jumps out at me when I listen, Jolanda, when I listen to Texas House Democrats say, we're going back to fight. And I'm going, what the hell are you fighting when they got the votes? You're not fighting anything. You're fighting if you didn't give them a quorum because they have complete control of the House, complete control of the Senate. It's just like when the Senate, 9 Democrats walked out, 2 stayed, and they said, you know, we're staying to fight. But if all 11 had walked out, they couldn't have passed.
To make me a little late.
If all 11 walked out, they could not have passed the maps. It makes no sense to me. Go right ahead.
So no, I didn't show up, and I'm not going to show up. There's a redistricting committee formal meeting at 5 o'clock today, 5 o'clock Central Time, which normally formal meetings are rubber stamp meetings where you know how you're going to vote. They literally have you all stand around something and they call your name, such and such, how you vote on this, yes or no? And it's quick. I mean, it's easy. So I suspect it's going to be like that. But the thing that's funny to me, Roland, is exactly like you said. There is no fight. There are 88 of them and 62 of us. And the only time we were winning the fight was when we quorum broke. So I can't, and I'm so discombobulated right now because I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe. Let me be clear. The people that came back, those of us that came back, who I guess maybe thought that they were going to get some brownie points for coming back, they locked them on the House floor. You hear me? Locked the doors. And you couldn't leave until you signed a permission slip, what a nice word, that said that they could surveil you 24/7 to compel your attendance the next time they had a meeting. So my colleagues who came back, they're calling it a security detail. No, it's an unlawful detention.
Right.
All right, it's unconstitutional. And last I heard, I was born in America, not on a plantation. And these are modern day slave patrols.
Yeah.
It is the crazy. In fact, one person said, one of the law enforcement people said he was working on narcotics this morning. They called him in, you know. So they pulling people off the streets. They pulling off police officers from doing like real police stuff.
Yeah.
To watch us, to surveil us. And so I'm not coming back to Texas till a popo gone because we know that the history of white control over black people is to sick the police on us. So if you think, go ahead.
So one of the black lawmakers who went back, Representative Christian Manuel, we're going to go live. You mentioned that hearing. Well, that hearing is taking place right now, and there's some questioning going on. Yeah, go ahead and play it.
Again, that's the underlying bill you're not asking me about. I told you at the top, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, and 38 are the changes.
Okay.
But, like I told Dean Thompson, if you'll go on District Viewer and look at the original 30, it'll tell you exactly where the line is.
Okay, so as of right now, just can you, and I'm so sorry, I promise
you're fine.
I'm not trying to be facetious. Can you tell me those districts one more time? And I know it is completely my fault.
Absolutely. No. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, 38.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. So I have 2 questions because you answered my question. So there aren't any changes to 30 and 33. It's only to these lists from 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 17, 18, 22, 29, 36, and 38. Just want to make sure. Okay. So you answered my question. So there aren't any changes to those. As it relates to CD9 and CD29, and I completely understand if you don't have the answers to it, because I know sometimes we just don't know. Are there any changes in the economic engines to CD9 and CD29? And the reason I ask is because those are traditionally districts that have had minority representation and were minority coalition districts previous. So I'm wondering if there's been any changes to those coalition districts as it relates to their economic engines that have been used to help prop up those communities in those districts.
Okay, now, as a preference, we've already gone through the two, Rochu and Petaway. So as you remember, there's a different view on the legal involvement of coalition. Do I specifically know? The answer is no. You could go on district viewer, but being a coastal guy, now that CD9 has Liberty County, I think that's a great economic energy area. So I think you gained a whole bunch.
Well, we're both coastal guys. I will agree on that. What I will say is all the refinery and industry that is traditionally in the areas are between mainly Jefferson, Galveston, parts of Orange, but mainly Jefferson and Orange. I'm not seeing what industry there is that is in.
Whatever. Here's my whole deal, Representative Davis. This is a waste of time. We know exactly what the Republicans are going to do. There's no amount of questioning. There's no amount of, oh, let me get clarity. They've made it clear. Donald Trump said, get me 5. They gave him 5. Ain't nothing changed. And so at the end of the day, when y'all did not allow them a quorum, they couldn't pass the maps. And I go back to if the two Democratic state senators had walked their ass out with the other 9, the Senate couldn't pass the map. So what black people are saying is, damn, can these Democrats find some guts and fight to the end? Representative Davis.
Aichea, he asked you a question.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear him.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, she can't hear you.
Okay, all right. Y'all figure out why Representative Davis cannot hear me.
I can tell you this though, Roland, while you're figuring that out.
Now, hold on one second. Y'all let me know. Figure out why she can't hear me. Representative Jones, go ahead.
So I don't know why Todd Hunter, the person who filed the map, doesn't know what's going on. He can't answer no questions, okay? They actually have changed the demographics of 9, 18, 30, 33, and 29. I'm literally looking at it myself. Why doesn't he know his own maps? For example, a difference in CD8 in the proposed CD18. If you'll recall, the previous proposed CD18 that we killed had 70.7% of the current CD9, if you'll recall. They actually changed that and they lowered the number. So now the proposed CD18 has 64.5%. They literally reallocated. They took out a larger part of CD18 and put it in CD29, which is currently a Hispanic seat. So they did change things.
Of course they did. Of course they did. Representative, do me a favor. Let Representative Davis know we're going to disconnect her line, and we're going to call her back.
You're going to disconnect your line and call you back.
So we can get the audio straight. All right.
So they can get the audio straight.
So let's go ahead and do that. And then, okay, so now let's disconnect and let's bring up disconnect and bring up Representative Jones. Guys, disconnect. Okay. Disconnect completely and reconnect, folks. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this here. Go to the hearing and then y'all fix this. Go to the hearing and then we'll fix this issue with the audio. Go to my iPad, let's go.
36 and 38, correct?
No, I don't agree with you. The U.S. Supreme Court, as we've already talked in many, many hours, Rucho, says a jurisdiction may engage in constitutional political gerrymandering, recognizing that politics and political considerations are inseparable from districting and apportionment. It says that you can use partisan interest. It can use political performance. It indicates that this is absolutely a factor. This is a U.S. Supreme Court, and we are able to use that. It's the same premise that I provided in the prior presentation.
Has the U.S. Supreme Court ever put a precedent on doing mid-decade redistricting?
We've done it before.
Well, no, I know we've done it before, but he went to jail. So that's the reason I'm asking is have they placed anything in there that says that.
I don't agree with that. I think that's a remark that I would not agree with. To bring up somebody who went to jail, I can give you 14 other reasons why maybe the other side was wrong. I don't think we want to shoot at each other in the hearing.
No.
But you don't. I don't agree with that. There's nothing that prevents this congressional redistricting.
No.
And we could do it again.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm going to go back to the previous last hearing. Is my district was mid-decade redistricting in 2003, and because of that, Tom DeLay was sentenced to jail because there were things that he had done during that, and Tom DeLay's probably going to get me, so I pre-apologize. But
this doesn't really have any.
So no, what I'm saying is that
this committee substitute.
No, I'm asking is because you brought up the Supreme Court. That's the only reason. I promise. I'm not an attorney. I think you all know that. I'm just a former simple staffer who's been here for 21 years in October, and I was just wondering if. Been that long. I know I have nothing else to do important in my life. Wondering if since we are bringing up the Supreme Court has said that we can do this because of performance, and totally understand that, Chairman Hunter, was wondering if the Supreme Court had ever issued out a statement saying that mid-decade redistricting is something that is not an issue. Because again, the only reason I'm saying that is because the last person in Texas who did that did go to jail. Not saying you or anyone else. I'm saying the last person who did that in Texas went to jail because he was doing things on a federal level that was found to be found to be for him criminally to spend time in jail.
Not the committee substitute. Yeah. You're going off. You know, this was all discussed August 1st.
Yes, sir.
This is August 18th. We're on a committee substitute, and we're not re-arguing those areas. If you have questions on this plan, I will focus on it. We will not agree. I understand. We will respectfully disagree with each other. But Mr. Chairman, let's focus on the substitute.
Okay, I want to focus on the sub then, and I'll just say this. Focusing on a committee substitute, has there ever been a Supreme Court ruling that says the committee substitute for redistricting?
I think Representative, I feel you in the sense of trying to tie the question to it. It really, the questions I think pending before the committee at this time are just about the changes that have been made in the committee substitute compared to the introduced, and the explanations for those, as opposed to the constitutionality of mid-decade redistricting, which I think doesn't touch the changes on the map. So if you have a question about, a particular change, certainly fair game.
Perfect. Okay, I do actually have one. When it comes to Congressional District 33, Chairman Hunter, would you mind, again, and I pre-apologize, can you give me the breakdown and the reasoning for Congressional District 33 changing from where it was to why, like why we're moving it or changing it to where it is?
So on that one, Representative, so 33 did not change.
So 30 changed.
30 did not change either.
So it was 36.
36 and 38.
Okay, so question of the chair then.
Sure.
And please forgive my novice for asking this question. I thought that when we changed any congressional district, even by one voter, it changed every congressional district because we had to move people.
Fair question.
So maybe that's where I'm.
So in what you'll see on your district view and in front of you, Representative, if you'll see, there's a handout that has at the top in red plans.
Come on back. All right, so we should have the audio fixed. Representative Davis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Isn't this really an exercise in futility? The Republicans are going to do what the hell they're going to do. And at the end of the day, had y'all held out, had y'all not given them a quorum, this would not be happening, and they would not be able to pass the maps. As I said before, we had to get the audio fixed. 9 Senate Democrats walked out. Two Latino Democrats stayed. And they were like, well, we couldn't hold out forever, and so we stayed to fight. I was like, you lost 19-2. What the hell kind of fight is that?
And we know the same thing will happen at the House. We can, go and say whatever we want to against it. We can, but they're going to pass it. They're not going to entertain any amendments. They're not going to entertain anything we have to say. They were given a task, and that was to pass the map that would give more Republican seats, that would take away Black voices and Black votes. And that's what they're going to do, and they're going to do it as quick as they possibly can.
And that point, I mean, listen, it was very contentious over the last several days. Word came out Thursday. Of course, we covered this extensively on our show. Meetings were happening all weekend. And now we know what the real deal is. Now we know that there were Democrats who were afraid. There were Democrats who, oh, hey, I'll only sit out one session. I'm not gonna do two. And what I don't understand over the last several days, word came out Thursday, guys. What I don't understand here, and it makes no sense to me, Representative Jones, why House Democrats somehow could not realize that y'all were actually winning the argument, and you have to build up momentum. And just because California announced what they were doing, it's not like, oh, okay, California's gonna change their map, so now let's go back because we've gotten other Democrats. No, your job is to fight for Texas. Let Governor Gavin Newsom do what he needs to do.
So let me be clear. I 1,000% agree with you. But California cannot just change their maps. California will not find out until November 4th whether the people who live in California vote to actually change the maps. There actually was a poll that came out last week saying that 2/3 of Californians like it just the way it is with no mid-decade redistricting. So that's not a done deal. But I 1,000% agree with you that even if California is successful, and I hope that they're successful, I hope Californians vote to redistrict out every Republican. That still doesn't change the fact that we're going to lose 2 Black congressional seats when we used to have 4, and Texas has the largest population of Black people in the United States of America. And it's not even a fight, Roland. Like, it's just like we both know Third Ward. You went to high school in Third Ward. I'm from Third Ward. If we're gonna have a fight down the street, I might go down there as me and you. But if I know it's like 10 more people down there, am I gonna be stupid enough to go by myself? Hell no. And these people ain't even hiding behind the bushes. They literally like, here, and you better show up. And it just defies logic to me that people are happy with winning messaging wars and getting people to talk about stuff. The only reason that people were talking about us is because we were winning. The only reason people were inspired by us is because we stood up to the bullies. We were playing chess. They were playing tic-tac-toe, not even checkers, and we literally stopped them. We were gangster. And now they're going back, and they've been under house arrest, for lack of a better word, grown, non-criminal elected people, and everybody's trying to figure out, well, how are we having a redistricting committee meeting at 5 o'clock? How did that happen? The second we gave them a quorum, they can do whatever they want to do to us, and they can roll over us, and that's exactly what they're doing. And if it wasn't so serious, it would be funny. I would think it's a big fat joke.
I mean, first of all, let's go back to the hearing. Give me 30 seconds. Go back.
Historically underrepresented now in this moment that has had a very serious need and has been vacant by the time someone would take the seat over a year. Would we take that into serious consideration to understand the economic poverty that people who live in 18, particularly Black and brown people who live in those districts, have historically had to deal with since before the voting rights and after have gone into effect?
As I have answered, you'll have to go to the district viewer, look at the exact lines to see where exactly.
Representative Davis, they're like, man, look, we done changed the lines. Period. What people, listen, Representative David, people were giving money. People were saying, yo, man, let's mobilize, organize. My greatest fear here is that this action here stunts all of that. And my greatest fear also is that you're going to have black voters say, man, listen, if y'all can't fight, hell, why should I fight?
You know, black voters have been holding up the Democratic Party for a while now. You have black women voting 90+%, and nearly every race is Democrats. But when it comes to black matters, a lot of times that's not at the forefront of discussions. I have colleagues that are comfortable saying black, are comfortable talking about how racist the maps are. So they'll just say Republican, Republican, Republican. I have some colleagues who said, oh, you know what? I was going to be out for one special session. I never guaranteed you anything more than that. I didn't say I was just going to leave one session and then come back regardless. I said I was going to deny quorum so I can fight this map. And that's why I did not go back. So, you know, until we really start to value black people and not just our vote, not just knowing that we're going to come and vote Democrat, but I mean actually valuing black people and black communities, that's going to be something that Democrats are always going to have to struggle with.
Absolutely. So, okay. So, all right. So we'll
Roland,
go ahead. Final comment. Go ahead.
Let me show you something. All you got to do, this is actually the latest map. Can you see it? It's on my phone.
Yeah, we got it.
Right. So my point is, it's easy for us to figure out how they chopped up the lines. It's easy for us. And I think what Aichea and I are saying is that we just wanted to know what the deal was before we quorum broke. Aichea, I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but I, at least initially, didn't realize that we had enough people to quorum break, because when I was talking to people individually, there was a lot of hesitation. So I was surprised when we quorum broke. I was always down for it, but so I was thankful. What I didn't realize, and what I wish I would have been told before I made this decision, was that some people only agreed to quorum break for not even 2 weeks. Let's be clear, Roland. Today was going to be 2 weeks that we were gone. Today. So we didn't even make it 2 weeks. You keep saying 2 weeks. No, it's a day off. And I would have liked to have known that. And so if I'm a part of the team, you need to tell the whole team everything so the team members can make an educated decision. Because I don't like having to explain to people why we leaving after less than 2 weeks. And I have colleagues saying that was always the agreement. No, they didn't tell us that. They didn't tell me that, because I could have won a messaging board at home. I didn't have to come here. I could have stayed locked in my house, or I could have gone somewhere else. And so I feel bad for the American people, because I understand how they feel, because it's just like I'm them. I literally did not know all the information. And I was never going back. I never just agreed to stay gone for one session. And I never agreed to go into a fixed fight where we were going to lose. So when these bad maps pass and the legal precedent is not established, that ain't got nothing to do with me, because the only way we guaranteed a win was to stay gone. And they weren't even asking us. We wouldn't have even had to stay gone as long as they did the Montgomery bus boycott. So, and then they tried to get us all to come back, to give everybody cover. I'm not coming back. Like, literally, there are some of us saying there's no blowback. So I don't know who their constituents are, but they're definitely not my constituents, because my constituents are literally blasting everybody that came back, right? And they are so thankful that I stayed gone and Aichea stayed gone. And this is what's funny. I ain't told nobody where I am, because I don't know who's going to go tell them where I am. So nobody knows where I am, because I just don't know who's bought and paid for. And I don't know who's Steven on Django Unchained. So I'm just not I can't do it.
I understand. Well, we appreciate the both of you saying hell to the no. We ain't doing that because, and I was clear, every Black Caucus member should have said, nah, y'all want to do this here, y'all go right ahead. But we are not going to knowingly and willingly attend our own lynching. And what we are seeing with this map, what Republicans are doing is a political lynching of black political interest. Pure and simple. Representative Davis, Representative Jones, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bring in my panel, Scott Bolden, attorney here in D.C., Omekongo Dibinga Senior, professorial lecturer, School of International Service, American University. Glad to have both of y'all here. And we're going to be, and Zabor G is going to be joining us as well. Scott, point I made, literally, like, why would I go to my own execution and accept your invitation and sit down and say, how you doing? I'm here.
To fight.
Shoot me.
Right.
Shoot me. Shoot the poison in my veins. Lynch me. Go right ahead. I'm here. Matter of fact, let me put the rope around my neck and y'all go ahead and lynch me.
Well, Roland, I don't disagree with you, but you know I'm going to get lawyerly on you now. If they don't have the numbers and they sat out one session, what's a win look like and what's the pathway to winning? That's where I get lost on this because they've got constituents that they got served. Okay, tell me about that because from the messaging, that's what's really missing. They could do this for a year, 2 years, but if you don't have the numbers, you don't have the numbers. So what does a winning fight look like?
Okay, let me walk you through. So one of the state reps, he said this here. He said 51 House Dems could resign. He said what that means is the governor literally could not call. The governor cannot appoint 51 replacements. There would have to be 51 special elections. And you have laws in terms of when those elections would have to be, how long they would have to be. He said, so that was an option. He said, we haven't fully explored that. That's one. Two, in talking with them, there was some of the lawyers were saying, well, you know, they could have pushed this thing to May because the legislature could always change the date to qualify for the election. Here's what we know. Now, granted, let's be real clear. The Supreme Court could do whatever they want to do, but the Supreme Court has a certain precedent, and I guess is it Purcell? Is that what it is? And so typically what happens? I don't know. Okay, so the Supreme Court has a standard that they use where they sort of lock maps in place. So what they often say is that even if a map has been ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge, they've said in the past, it's happened in Alabama and Louisiana, that, hey, voters have to have enough time to be able to choose their candidates. Candidates have to be able to hit the filing deadline to run. So therefore, we will lock the maps in place because there's not enough time. So let's take Louisiana. A couple of years ago, Louisiana passed their maps, and it was like February they passed the maps. Well, the Louisiana primary wasn't even till August. Supreme Court went, no, gotta lock them in place. So there are people like me, and there are other lawyers who said, so the filing deadline, the deadline to file to run for the congressional seats in 26 is December. So there are many others who said, hey, if you hold out until December, not May, until December, then all of a sudden that Supreme Court precedent comes into play, and then the Supreme Court, based upon previous rulings, would say, hey, wait a minute, Texas, you can't come in and change a map in January or February because the primary is in March and the general is in November, even though Texas could always move the primary. So those are a couple of the options there. Yeah. The problem is you got weak-ass Democrats. No, we can't hold out. No, we can't hold out.
Okay, but why not come back? If you're going to, this is the problem I have.
Go ahead.
That you haven't talked about. Why not come back, give them the quorum, let them vote, and then litigate the appropriateness of the map?
You could do that.
The ability to do it.
No, hold on. You can no, and that is what their strategy is. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. Right now, the 2021 map, the existing map, is being litigated right now. It's 2025. So the problem is, I want you to follow me here. So the problem is, if you go for that legal strategy, they likely will have the proposed maps that get rid of 5 Democratic districts, that 2 of those 5, 2 are black districts. Those will likely be the maps for 26 and 28.
Yeah, but what if you ask for emergency relief or equitable relief and a TRO or injunctive relief that stays everything?
Scott
gives you the status quo.
And here's what happens: appeal, stay the injunction. Okay, we've been through this. We've been through this in Alabama.
I got you.
We've been through this in Louisiana. In fact, the courts, when Louisiana passed their maps, the courts ruled, oh, this is unconstitutional. This is denying black people an opportunity. And the Republicans appealed, and then another court agreed. Oh, they got somebody else to agree. Then here's what's so crazy. In Louisiana, it went to the Supreme Court of Congo. The Supreme Court agreed it was unconstitutional, sent it back. The Fifth Circuit tried to circumvent it. Then the Republicans tried to get it back to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court wouldn't hear it. The map stayed in place. Cleo Fields was elected in 2024. Now the same Republicans are going back to the Supreme Court, and now but now they're using another legal argument, and now the Supreme Court has asked for not pleadings. They've asked for documents, whatever y'all want to call it. Briefings. Explaining why coalition districts could be unconstitutional. So now you have the civil rights groups who are like, oh shit, they could literally rule coalition districts unconstitutional. That could wipe out half of the 60 Congressional Black Caucus members. Congo, Republicans, they're gonna try to have 19 bites at the apple. So the only guaranteed way to ensure these maps do not get passed if you don't give them a quorum.
Wow, I mean, this is another example of how relentless Republicans are. They are nonstop, whether we're talking abortion, whether anything, they are nonstop, and they are going to pursue every legal and illegal means possible to keep power. Democrats want to talk about sharing and voting and everything. These guys only care about power. And, you know, there's that meeting going on at the White House with Trump and all these leaders. The only other people who are happy this is happening are these Texas Democrats, because they are not the center of the news story today. And Gene Wu, they put out this letter talking about they did this and acting like they were like freaking Nelson Mandela or something, you know, returning home after such a long incarceration or something. They caved in 2 weeks. And like Representative Jolanda Jones was saying, she wished that she knew. I wish that we knew. You know, the way that we were cheering them on and saying, you know, this is finally Democrats standing up and all of this. And they were like, oh, no, we just kidding. We were just trying to get everybody else's attention. We were just trying to get Gavin Newsom and others stacked up. This is cowardly, man. And I know for many of us, it's deflating. It's deflating. Like, we were really looking forward to this, to supporting them, sponsoring them, donating and the like. And they just do this. And as Representative Jones said, it's not even exactly 2 weeks. I don't know where Texas is going right now, but we know where it's going, but where the rest of the Democratic Party is going as it relates to this, I don't know, man, because when you say like black folks in Texas are like, well, why should we even, you know, fight or vote or anything? I think a lot of us are saying that across the country right now, and maybe Gavin Newsom will prevail in November. Maybe some of these other states will, but this is a serious setback, not only for the Democratic Party, but for the country, man. And it sucks.
So check this out, Scott. Check this out. This literally just came down earlier today. Go to my iPad. Federal Appeals Court blocks Louisiana's new congressional map and blow the GOP. Now this is on Fox News. Judge said Louisiana's congressional redistricting map amounts to an illegal racial gerrymander. Okay, now mind you, we done already covered this territory, Scott. Judges for the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Louisiana's request to allow it to enforce its long-stalled congressional redistricting map. delivering a near-term blow to Republicans in the state by ruling that it amounts to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. All three judges on the bench voted to uphold a lower court's ruling that the map in question, originally passed by Louisiana's Republican majority legislature in 2022, violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They also affirmed the district court's ruling that the map in question violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act by packing black voters into a small number of majority black districts and cracking other black communities across multiple districts, thereby depriving them of the opportunity to form effective voting blocks. Now, Scott, what we're seeing right here, this is what, and I'm gonna pull Zabora in a second for us. Go ahead and pull up as well. What we're seeing right here is that this is the Fifth Circuit. Now, let's be real clear. The Fifth Circuit is the most hardcore right-wing circuit in America.
Yeah.
Scott, they were ruling on a 2022 map. This 2025. So you know what's going to happen? The Republicans are going to appeal this to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court may not rule on this until 2026. Or the Supreme Court will say, hey, keep the current map. See, again, remember why I kept trying to explain to Texas? The courts could say, hold up, lock the existing map in. They may not rule until 27, now affects 28. So that's why the Democrats, the most guaranteed way not to have the maps passed, if your ass don't show up.
Yeah, I got you, Roland. But let me ask you this. Now you're not gonna like this argument, but there are other duties and responsibilities these Democratic legislators have, serving their constituencies.
You got staff.
Dealing with the.
That's why you got staff.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. I know that's why you got staff, right? But you got to admit, at least, that that's pulling on the Democratic.
No, that's bullshit. No, that's no. First of all, let me hold up. Let me be as
there is other business.
Hold up. Let me be real clear.
Aren't you abdicating your responsibility?
Nope, you're not.
Staying away from the position.
Nope, you're not.
What do you say to those?
Nope, you're not. Easy. What I say to those people.
What do you say to that?
Easy. What I say to those people, and y'all don't want me to cuss. I'm trying not to cuss, so I'm gonna give y'all 5. I'm gonna give y'all 10 seconds. I'm gonna give y'all 10 seconds to turn your TV down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
7, 6.
Here we go.
5.
Where's
4,
the FCC when you need
3. FCC doesn't regulate internet. They only regulate licensed broadcasting.
I said that's when you need.
So the FCC does not regulate cable TV or internet. They only regulate broadcast licenses. 3, 2, 1. Fuck they heartstrings.
Oh God.
Let me be real clear. Let me be perfectly clear.
You have flood victims.
No. Well, guess what? The Republicans should have put the flood victims first on. The Republicans have told us, Zabor, what their priorities are. Their priorities, and the Republicans said, we don't give a damn if 130 people died in them floods. That shit ain't important. We gonna do these maps first. That's what it's about, and this is why you have to stop it. Zabor, when you're in a battle, when you're in a fight, you empty your clip. What you don't do is fire 2 of your 24 bullets and then say, all right, I'm going to hand you the gun. Let's go ahead and we'll go back.
You don't do that at all. It doesn't make sense. This has been what we do in Texas, though. We're not taking on the power that we have as Democrats. We're running from it. We're being cowardly. And we're not standing in our power as Democrats. At the end of the day, when there was Hurricane Harvey and all of these other situations where Black individuals were impacted by natural disasters, they didn't make them a priority, and they showed it again now. They never make those natural disasters a priority. So I think it's really important that we focus on what can we do now. Clearly, our Democratic representatives are scary and are not going to do what they need to do to protect us. So we have to show up, keep applying pressure, make sure that these maps are not impacting us any more than they already have to. I think there's no way for us to get around the decisions that they continue to make to not hold the Republican Party responsible for the actions that they keep having.
So in this same piece right here, I want y'all to see. Hold on 1 second. This is what it says right here. The ruling from the Fifth Circuit, which has a reputation as one of the more conservative appeals courts, is a victory in the near term for the ACLU and other plaintiffs who sued to block the state's map from taking force. Still, any relief for plaintiffs from the appeals court ruling is likely to be short-lived. The Supreme Court in March heard oral arguments in Louisiana versus Callis, which also centers on the legality of Louisiana's redistricting map and whether race should be considered a factor in drawing new congressional districts. Oral arguments then focused heavily on whether Louisiana's redistricting efforts were narrowly tailored enough to meet constitutional requirements and whether race was used in a way that violated the law, as the appellees allege. The Supreme Court in June said it would hear additional arguments in the case in the fall term, citing the need for more information before it could issue a ruling. Earlier this month, justices ordered both parties to file supplemental briefs by mid-September outlining in further detail arguments for and against Louisiana's proposed map and whether the intentional creation of a, I love this, Congo, and Scott, I can't wait to get your legal, whether the intentional creation of a second majority black congressional district, quote, violates the 14th or 15th amendments to the U.S. Constitution, unquote. So, Congo, the white Republicans in Louisiana are trying to use the Reconstruction amendments that were for black people now against black people for white people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this for forever, right? They are twisting everything that we fought for, whether we're talking about the Civil Rights Acts, like they're using the basis of everything we fought for. Again, they're throwing it in our faces. And this is one of the reasons why Trump has been targeting all of these law firms, so people are going to be around to stand up and have our backs. I mean, there are many that have been fighting for some of these big ones that have caved, and they're like, this is so outrageous, but it's in their playbook. They will take everything possible. And the fact of the matter is, when you think about how people are abandoning Texas black Democrats, and you talk about, this situation now in Louisiana and other parts across the country, they do not care. They will take language that we created, critical race theory, or slang terms like woke, throw it all back in our face. They will take constitutional amendments that we fought for that help give so many other people access to the American dream throughout time, where we can talk about, they will throw it all back in our faces and say, now we're going to use it to protect themselves. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it should enrage anybody who has not been active already or who's been sitting there behind at home and not getting in the game right now, because this is absolutely atrocious.
So what their game now, Scott, is, we're going to use the Civil Rights Act against black people because, this is hurting us white people. So in Louisiana, they have literally discriminated against black people. Matter of fact, hold on. I was just showing y'all. Now that was a court ruling. Hold on. Scott, you're gonna get a kick out of this one. Federal court rules against Louisiana. Y'all gonna laugh at this one. Hold on, here it comes. Okay, allowed, that's federal. This was, okay, so, Scott, you're gonna love this one. The same Fifth Circuit last week, go my iPad. The same Fifth Circuit, Scott, last week said that Louisiana's state maps discriminates against black people. So here you got white Republicans in Louisiana discriminating against black people, diluting black power with state maps, congressional maps, and now the same white folks, the 14th and the 15th Amendment is hurting us white people because these maps should not be used when it comes to race, but, oh, we the ones who drew the maps, and if we had actually drawn fair maps, black people would have been able to have a district. So now, Supreme Court, we think y'all should get rid of all districts where you factor in race, and that could wipe out literally half of the entire Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah, you know, the other strategy that we're not talking about is there are multiple cases pending in that Fifth Circuit. I've appeared before the Fifth Circuit judges. Judge Pryor, Chief Judge Pryor, at least he used to be the chief judge, is a arch conservative. And there's several cases. You see, you pull 2 or 3, but the strategy is to file several cases with different parties in order to get several rulings. And even if they're inconsistent, then they wind up at the Supreme Court. The other thing is this. The Fifth Circuit, as conservative as this, these white folks in Louisiana, they're drawing maps, and in Texas and Mississippi and Georgia, they're drawing maps so blatantly racist and gerrymandered that even the conservative court, even the conservative court said, y'all can't eat all that now. Come on. You still got to have a legal pathway or a factual pathway to make me make this work for y'all. This ain't even fair to me.
They so racist. They are so racist. Even the judge is like,
it's for their own races.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And because here's the fundamental problem here. And this is the problem, Zabor, that the Republicans can't get around. They are hell-bent on stopping Democrats so they can hold power. And their problem is they hating on black people because they like, well, damn, y'all keep voting Democrat. And it's because you some bitches, y'all ain't making no effort to even talk to black people. So it's like they mad that black people voting Democrat, and it's like, well, y'all ain't doing nothing. So your deal is, so we gonna penalize Democrats by penalize black people, because black people, y'all problem is y'all vote too much for them damn Democrats. If only y'all didn't vote for them. And my man Gary Chambers is watching the show, and this is what he sent me. Appellants argue Dr. Alford credibly determined that voting in Louisiana is mainly polarized based on politics, not race. They offer no rebuttal, however. I don't know who Dr. Alford or Dr. King is. So, Gary, you could tell me who these people are. And again, Gary has sent me like 3 different documents. And this shit is hilarious. Y'all, this stuff is hilarious reading this sort of stuff here. This is what it says. Appellants
Roland.
Wait. They offer no rebuttal, however, to Dr. King's data, which showed that white Democrats in Louisiana prefer. Guys, go to my iPad. Come on, please. Thank you. Jesus, why? I shouldn't have to tell y'all I'm reading it. Doc, just go to it. Come on. In Louisiana, white Democrats in Louisiana preferred white candidates over black candidates, and that the same was true for black Democrats who preferred black candidates over white candidates. Notably, even when Dr. King controlled for party affiliation, i.e., analyzed data for the 2022 Democratic Senate primary, where all voters were Democrats, white voters voted for the white candidate 60% of the time, while only 26% of black voters voted for that same white candidate. Contrastingly, in that same primary, nearly 74% of black voters voted for the black candidate, while only 40% of white voters voted for the black candidate. Dr. King explained that these ratios showing more than a 2-to-1 difference were evidence of racially polarized voting. Similarly, Dr. Hanley analyzed this same data and stated that in every area, in all instances, white voters gave more support to the white Democrats than the black Democrats. Conversely, at least in the larger set, black voters gave more support to black Democrats than white Democrats. The data and expert testimony refute Dr. Alford's assertion that there is no evidence of racially polarized voting because it is politically based. Even controlling for political party affiliation, there was strong evidence of racially polarized voting in Louisiana, which Gingles found to be particularly weighty in the overall totality of the circumstances inquiry. Given that we afford great deference to credibility findings and that the district court's decision to credit Dr. Hanley's and Dr. King's analysis over Dr. Alford's is well supported, we conclude that the district court did not clearly err in finding that the factor weighs in favor of plaintiffs. What's crazy reading this is what they're saying, Zabor, and I'm gonna come back to Scott and finally coming from Ome Congo. What we got right here, what they saying, Zabor, is even the white folks in Louisiana are racist. And the black folk in Louisiana don't trust them white folk, so the black folks gonna vote for black people. So for anybody in Louisiana to say, no, we ain't got no race issue in the state, you done lost your damn mind.
But that's why they want to attack research and studies and all of the funding that goes to make sure that we have this information so we can prove these points. Without the data and all of the attack that's on DEI and research and removing the funding, this information is super important right now. We need to know the numbers and how we're voting. And we already know it, but we need the information so we can continue to prove it, so we can fight all of these things that they're doing in their different silos. They try to keep the information away from us so we don't have the information to fight. But it's very clear. The white people in Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, we're great for fueling population growth, but they don't want us to have political power to be able to actually change things that benefit black people in a way that can elevate our communities.
I love this one here, Scott. Again, I appreciate Gary Chambers watching the show and sending me the documents. I love this here, Scott. It says, more broadly, the state's theory would impose a limitless obligation on Congress to continually refresh its legislative record for any statute enacted under the 14th or 15th Amendments, including laws like the Family and Medical Leave Act, Title II of the ADA, and the Fair Housing Act. The state identifies no limiting principle for this claim, and we see none. The Reconstruction Amendments do not demand that Congress re-justify its judgments on a rolling basis. Scott, at the end of the day, these white Republicans in Texas are like, do we have to give these Negroes something? In fact, Scott, hold on, wait, Scott, hold on. And Scott, hold your thought. Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III is testifying in Texas. Go live now.
Between representation and those they represent, and their needs are met. That history that had been so ugly was solved once we saw the need to not crack and pack, but instead create opportunities for our communities to elect representatives. And again, here's the beautiful thing about this state and about this nation. It's not even about color so much as it is about your character and your competence. We love to misquote King, judged by the color of your skin, content of character, not color of skin, to use it as justification to do what King was not talking about. And so again, I get back to what you said. There's an ugly history that has been overcome by redistricting that actually gave the voice back to the people. And so for us to go against that right now is a violation of a legacy of fighting for justice. And I can just imagine LBJ, I can just imagine EBJ upset right now because of what we are doing to a people who were saying, well, not only do we want to suppress your vote, but we want to ensure that your vote doesn't count when you do vote. Say that.
Representative Pearson, you recognize the question of the panel.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here. Good to see you again. My question is for Congressman Allred. You know, I don't know if you were here earlier when we talked about states like Illinois, New York, California, who've already done these types of maps. But you're not disputing that it's legal to draw political performance maps, correct?
All right, we're gonna go back to that. That's that ignorant ass Trump.
She's in the state legislature?
Yes, she is. Yeah, the person, Katrina Pearson, the person got convicted of shoplifting. The Republicans put her ass in the state legislature. Yeah, that's that fool right there. I can't listen to nothing her ignorant ass has to say. So Scott, go ahead and answer the question I said before I went to break.
But the white conservative Republicans in Louisiana and Texas are deeply committed to racism. The courts have told them that you cannot pack all black voters into one district and pack them nowhere else but one or two districts compared to the rest of the map and create 10 white districts and pack them all into two. They've repeatedly been struck down, and yet they continue to make manifestations or machinations or elements of the same, resubmitting it, trying to get the courts to approve it, even though the courts have repeatedly said you simply cannot do that. That's why, in their view, in their racist view, they believe, well, I'm giving them a district or two. I'm not wiping them completely off the mantle. If I was to spread it all around, you say I'm disqualifying them, or I'm disempowering them. So I pack them into one or two, and now you say I'm disempowering them. Well, it's got to be a balance, the courts have said. And you can't do it. You can do it politically, but you can't do it intentionally based on race.
But the problem, Scott, but Scott, here's the problem we face right now. Clarence Thomas has had a hard-on to completely get rid of the Voting Rights Act. Yeah. And these right-wingers, I mean, again, they gutted Section 4, Ome Congo.
5.
They gutted Section 4. Now Section 2 is hanging on.
5 too.
Section 2 is hanging on by a thread. Like, Ome Congo, for people who are watching, I need them to understand, when they ruled in favor of the Opportunity District in Alabama, they ruled by saying Alabama violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Mm-hmm. The Louisiana district that was created, Section 2. So the only good news from this right-wing Supreme Court is that they have consistently, praise the Lord, allowed Section 2 to still stand. But the right wing, they want to gut Section 2. And again, Clarence Thomas, he wants to rule the entire Voting Rights Act unconstitutional.
And unnecessary.
Absolutely. This is, John Roberts' court at his best. I mean, they are incrementalists. And when people look at the potential falling of this democratic experiment, one of the main people that I have to thank is John Roberts. I mean, ruling after ruling, he has worked to dismantle this country, and dismantling the Voting Rights Act has been a part of that. And Clarence Thomas is salivating at the opportunity to do that. And so when people say things like, it's not that big a deal, we've always asked the question here, if voting wasn't that important, why are they trying so hard to stop us from doing it? And we see that they will stop at nothing. When are these Democrats going to wake up? When are these legislators going to wake up? When are people going to have the ability to actually fight back? And I've said this multiple times. They talk about democracy dies in darkness. It dies in the light of day. And it's often given away by complacent people who don't know enough and don't give a damn enough about what's going on. These Republicans aren't firing a single shot. They are taking over this country strategically by using laws that were created for freedom to actually deny us of our own freedoms. And as soon as people get hip to the game, we might be able to do something, because if we don't get this rectified between now and 2026, it might be game over, Roland Martin. And I'm just happy that you are calling attention to this every single day, not even just when you're on the show, but in your social media and everything. And more people need to be doing that. This is more important than the meeting going on with Zelensky right now as relates to the future of this country, and it needs our attention.
So here's, I need people to understand, and I pull this up, and this is the AI overview on Google, okay? So I need people to understand what this says here. There's some, and again, I need you to really pay attention, y'all, because this is the key. There is substantial evidence that Justice Clarence Thomas believes the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional and seeks to limit or eliminate its power. Justice Thomas has expressed a long-standing view that the Voting Rights Act, particularly Section 2, is unconstitutional, arguing it has transitioned from addressing discriminatory voting practices to regulating and rationing political power among racial groups. He believes the VRA Section 2, which requires considering race to ensure fair districting, violates the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. In dissenting opinions, including a notable one regarding Alabama's redistricting in 2023, again, 2023. I need y'all to understand, okay? Listen to me clearly, okay? One second. Guys, listen, because of the breaking news, we got to I don't want to have to do it, but I have to rebook our health segment. I don't want to do it, but because of this breaking news that's happened literally while we are live, I got to go back and forth to what's happening in Texas as well. But let me go back to reading this. Arguing that it has transitioned from addressing discriminatory voting practices to regulating and rationing political power among racial groups. He believes the VRA Section 2, which requires considering race to ensure fair districting, violates the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. That's 14th Amendment. In dissenting opinions, including a notable one regarding Alabama's redistricting in 2023, Justice Thomas stated the Voting Rights Act has no power to prevent racially discriminatory gerrymandering, and that he believes it only regulates the ability to cast a vote or get to the ballot box. Justice Thomas's views on the Voting Rights Act are shared by other conservative justices, including Justices Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett, who have advocated for a race-neutral approach to redistricting. In July 2025, Justice Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch indicated a desire to weaken the Voting Rights Act by voting to deny a request to pause a lower court ruling in a case involving its enforcement. This is why this thing is scary. Zabor, then I'm gonna go to Scott, then I'm gonna Congo. Because what they're basically saying, Zabor, is, oh, we throw this out, there's no need for us. There's literally no legal precedent, no legal status, no legal reason for us to review. So y'all can just draw whatever maps. The reason we have power today is because of the Voting Rights Act, because they had to create these districts, because they were disempowering black people. And so what the Republicans want to do is they want to be able to draw, and I need everybody listening to me right now, what the Republicans want to do in Texas and Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, the nation. They want to be able to create as many majority white conservative Republican districts, and if they are allowed by the Supreme Court, they will literally wipe out black elected officials nationwide, school districts, city council, county commissioners, state reps, state senate, U.S. House. This, Zabora, is what Project 2025 was all about, what the Heritage Foundation was all about, and we were trying to tell black people when Hillary was running, y'all get over your feelings about that white woman, because they are trying to execute a strategy that will decimate black America. And what I've been saying, they want to defund black America and completely and totally destroy the political, the economic, the educational, the academic, the social infrastructure of black America.
They have been doing this forever. This is nothing but Jim Crow 2.0. They're taking and trying to act like it's neutral and act like it makes it fair, but it doesn't do nothing but destroy our communities, destroy our political power, take away everything that we've worked so hard to have, and take away the ability for grassroots organizations to challenge these things, for us to be able to work as a community in the ways that we fought these things in the past. We're not going to be able to do that because they're giving all of that power to a political power that has shifted from at least having some of our representation to having none of our representation. So it's really just disheartening overall at the impact and the long-term impact that this is going to have if we don't do anything to figure out how to fight it.
And see, Scott, again, this is why I keep trying to tell our people, stop watching this bullshit, stop doing the gossiping, understand what's going on. Here's another one. This is from the Constitutional Center. And that is, this happened in July 2025. Okay? It said right here, last week, Clarence Thomas targeted a major tool for challenging violations of our civil rights. And this time he got vigorous pushback from his colleague, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. The tool is known as Section 1983 of Title 42 of the U.S. Code. It originally was Section 1 of the Civil Rights Act of 1871, better known as the Ku Klux Klan Act, one of the most important civil rights laws in U.S. history. The act was intended to protect Black Americans from white supremacist violence in the post-Civil War South. Section 1983 allows an individual to sue a state or local government official who has violated his or her constitutional rights. A violation could involve freedom of speech, freedom of religion, due process, and more. It's not enough to allege a violation of the Constitution or federal law. The claim must allege a violation of clearly every established right. Okay? Right. Section 1983 claim was at the heart of the 63 decision in Medina versus Planned Parenthood of South Atlantic. Okay? Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas, used his 13-page concurring opinion to focus on the court's jurisprudence on Section 1983, which he wrote bears, quote, little resemblance to the statute as originally understood, unquote. Section 1983, he argued, originated as a narrow Reconstruction-era statute, but has now exceeded its original limits. Now, Scott, what the federal lower courts had, it came started in Arkansas. In Arkansas, a lawsuit was filed that said, when it comes to voting cases, only the Department of Justice could file lawsuits. So what they argued, and the appeals court agreed with the Arkansas case, Scott, and it's on the way to the Supreme Court. They are arguing that the NAACP LDF, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, the ACLU, Black Voters Matter, they are arguing that any group, any legal group, anybody, matter of fact, they are arguing that Scott Bolden does not have the legal right to file a voting rights lawsuit because you are not a member of the Department of Justice. So they want to block the entire civil rights legal infrastructure from being able to challenge voting rights laws on the local, state, and the national level.
And DOJ, under this administration or any other white conservative administration, ain't gonna file a damn thing. Those cases usurp or turn on its head organizational standing, right? And individual standing, the core principles of how you file a lawsuit on behalf of someone, or organizational standing because of your interest and your mission as an organization. And when that case gets to the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas is going to have a fair amount of support. It'll be interesting to what Roberts says about that and whether he believes that's too extreme or not, because he'll have the 3 or 4 liberal judges on his side, but he won't have enough for a majority. And he's got to pick off Kavanaugh, and he's got to pick off perhaps Comey Barrett, although on this issue, these justices and white conservatives, all of this emanates from a base that we are now a colorblind society, that we are tired of making up for the past wrongs of black and brown people. Yep. And we've paid enough, essentially. We paid enough. And as a result, we, white America, is being discriminated against now. These laws are working against us, which completely ignores the socioeconomic and health disparities of black people in this country, and that the numerous lawsuits that are still filed, workplace discrimination cases and what have you. I don't know where they're getting their empirical data from that says we're a colorblind society now and discrimination and racism just no longer exists. Because you've got to believe that if you believe in the decisions that are coming out of the conservative court. There's no data for that whatsoever. And
But Scott, you got to remember, when they gutted the VRA, Shelby v. Holder, John Roberts, his opinion essentially was, it worked. Look at black turnout in 2008.
Right.
He argued we don't need these things because in 2008 the percentage of black people who voted in the presidential election for the first time in American history was higher than the percentage of white people. And we're like, yeah, dumbass, that happened because of the law. And if you don't have the law, it's gonna go down. And what happened? They ruled in favor of Shelby County, and Republican state legislatures immediately moved to what? Change district lines. Get rid of voting locations. They immediately began, ever since 2012, there has been nothing but an attack. Hold on. There's been nothing but a systemic attack on voting of people of color, black people and others, from the moment the decision came down. And it's like, Roberts, what the hell was your dumb ass thinking?
And when they used the same philosophy and the same theory in the Harvard case, where they eliminated race as a factor.
No, I got it. But wait. I love this one here. I love this here. The Asian plaintiff, matter of fact, y'all gonna think I'm lying. Scott, finish your point. I'm about to show y'all, if y'all wanna see what happens when your ass, Scott, I'm about to blow you up. Well, you better crack up. Okay, because in that, remember, it was Asian folk who got with the conservative white lawyers, took down affirmative action. Hold up, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna type this in. Y'all think I'm lying? I'm not lying. Okay. No. Listen. Asians want quotas at Harvard. Y'all think I'm lying? See, this is what happened when your dumb ass sue. When your dumb ass sue. So what's happened is, so they sat here and they sued, and now they're like, hey, what's going on? Now, this is what AI said. AI says, no, Asian Americans are not seeking quotas at Harvard. Some Asian American groups have, however, raised concerns and filed lawsuits alleging that Harvard's admission policies discriminate against Asian Americans. So here's the problem. These groups argue that Harvard's consideration of race and admissions, even if not explicitly using quotas, effectively limit the number of Asian Americans. Here's what happened. They sued the Ivy Leagues. They threw out affirmative action, and then the next year, it was fewer Asians admitted than before. And they were like, what the hell? And black people were like, hashtag, we tried to tell you. Them dumb asses, they thought, oh, we got rid of affirmative action at Harvard and Yale and Columbia. We about to have a lot of our kids in the school, and them white folk went, no, you not. And so I'm linking this, Ome Congo, to what's happening in Texas. Listen, the Latinos in Texas, there are Latinos in Texas, Ome Congo, who are sitting here going, listen, it's 4 black districts now, they're gonna lose 2, but the Republicans say they're gonna create 5 districts. Oh, we gonna pick up 5 districts. Okay, y'all go ahead and FAF if you want to. Go ahead.
But they doing that across everything.
Exactly what's going to be happening.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Zabor. Ome Congo, then I go to you, Zabor. Ome Congo, go ahead.
That's exactly what's going to be happening. Just like what's happening with this example of Asian students at Harvard. People keep falling for this okie doke of, oh, these Republicans are going to take care of us. They're going to take care of us. And the Republicans are great at stacking groups against each other. I remember a case back in 1927 in Mississippi where, a Chinese family tried to sue to get, not for that all non-white people can go to the school where white people were at, but so that they could be considered white and go to that school. So like this lesson of divide and conquer, we never seem to learn it. And Republicans know this race mindset and consciousness better than many other people do. And they know that we will fight each other to try to get any little morsel that we can to feel equal to them, as opposed to building our own platforms and building our own coalitions. That was what they did with Harvard. These affirmative action cases. That's what they're doing in Texas right now. And if people continue to fall for this, I mean, it's the same thing that happened with the whole issue with undocumented immigrants. Oh, they're just going to come for the Latino criminals. And now you got Haitians up in there. You got African Americans being pulled off the street. When in like 7 months, man, this is all happening. When are we finally going to get it together that they're coming for all of us and they're picking us apart one by one because we have not been able to show any type of unity? And they are they are not large in number, but they are large in their mindset in terms of how to use the laws against us, how to play the race wars against us, how to play the culture wars against us. And maybe this will be the time to wake up, Roland Martin, but I am not convinced in this moment.
Zabora, go ahead.
This is impacting so many different groups. When it comes to disabled individuals, it's like you can watch disabled individuals that are not disabled individuals of color vote in a direction that has directly impacted Medicaid cuts, Social Security cuts, and job opportunities to give you the resources you need for accommodations at work. We took away sign language interpreters in spaces. So you're watching Section 2 of the VRA impact not only Black people, but you are impacting your own interests as a disabled person that's white or a disabled person that's Latino voting on that side, not realizing all of the things of your life, from your insurance to your daily life, is being impacted. And it's not going to get better. It's only getting worse.
Listen.
And then you take away those organizations that can fight for you.
Listen.
Not realizing
hey, Scott, I keep saying these Asian Americans, these Latinos, y'all ain't white. Now y'all can try to play the assimilation game all they want to, but white power is about white power. And whether today it's yesterday it was a Negro, whether Latino, like all them Latinos who voted for Trump, FAFO, 125, like
welcome to the border.
And it's like, yo, I mean, it's like, again, like y'all can sit, all these other folk, let's be real clear, Black people, our sweat, blood, and tears passed these laws. I say this all the time. I said, if you are a woman and you are a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, or if you go to professional schools, y'all need to thank Black people. Because in 1972, Title IX was passed. Title IX wasn't about sports. Title IX was about opening the professional schools to women because they were discriminating. What's Title IX? Don't nobody ever ask, well, where did Title IX come from? Well, shit, what's the first 8 titles? Title IX come from the 1964 Civil Rights Act. That was Black people. I say if you Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Thai, whatever, and you get to vote in your native language, y'all better thank Black people, because that's 1965 Voting Rights Act. It's real clear, okay? If all y'all can live where y'all want to live, y'all might want to thank Black people. That's the 1968 Fair Housing Act. You gay and you happy, you get to get married, go ahead and thank Black people, because that's the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. That's one of the Reconstruction Amendments that was passed. If you disabled, and you are thankful for them ramps and other things that came from the 1996 with the American Disabilities Act, y'all better be thanking black people. Because the American Disabilities Act comes directly from the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So here's the truth, whether folk want to accept it or not. If you have some rights in this country that are civil rights, thank black people, because it has been black people that has forced America, as Dr. King said, be true to what you put on paper. So these rights didn't just happen. Black people made these rights. If we walk down the line, Scott, of the numerous legal rulings in so many areas, hell, it's white people walking around, right? First of all y'all broke-ass white people, y'all should be thanking black people too. Okay? Because y'all benefited from LBJ's war on poverty. He didn't launch that in the Mississippi Delta. He launched that in white Appalachia. I mean, so we can just go down the line. We can go down the line of things that black people have fought for legislatively in America that has benefited everybody. And so, as a matter of fact, white people, let me be clear. Whether you're a white Democrat, a white Republican, a white conservative, or a white liberal, America did not believe in democracy until black people made them. The reality is, America did not fully, and it still ain't done it fully, but America did not fully embrace democracy until black people made them do it with those 3 civil rights acts in the 1960s. And so when y'all want to talk about founding fathers, and y'all want to talk about George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and John Quincy Adams, y'all better have a second group of founding fathers and mothers called Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy, Andrew Young, C.T. Vivian, Diane Nash. We can go on and on and on. We can sit and talk about Septima Clark, Fannie Lou Hamer, Constance Baker Motley. It was black people that made America be true to what they put on paper, because until then, they were not practicing what was on them goddamn documents. Scott?
What's your question?
You can speak on that if you desire.
You fired up tonight, boy. God damn. Roland giving us a whole history lesson in like 20 minutes. I'm sitting there taking notes this morning. I mean, went through the whole process. I think the beauty of all of those laws is that they were written broad enough to apply to white women, to apply to disabilities, to apply to human rights, gay marriages, and what have you. One, and that's the brilliance of it. The downside of that is they've been written so broadly that now that white America believes that we are in this colorblind society, they're using the same principles to argue that they're being discriminated against, or the reverse discrimination, if you will, which completely bastardizes not only the legislative intent, but the prior implementation of these laws to protect rights, not to take rights away. So those are my best thoughts.
And that's because
on your presentation.
Damn, Ome Congo, because what has happened is these white folks, and again, I don't know what, listen, I tried to tell people in 2009, I'm waiting to go on CNN with John Avlon, who's now in Congress, and me and John were talking about his book, Ween Nuts, and this is what I said. I said, John, we are living in the beginning stages of white minority resistance. And he looked at me and he was like, huh? He said, Roland, white people are majority in America. I said, John, you don't understand. I said, John, it's this is the basis of my book, White Fear. And all these media folk who wouldn't book me on their networks because they didn't want to talk about it, it's playing out. And the problem is these white folks don't want to put white on it, Ome Congo. They don't want to talk about for what it is. But I said, John, these white folks, cannot handle America becoming a nation of people of color. I said these white folks cannot handle sharing power. These white folks cannot handle losing power. And when I saw the white death rate, I think it was Newsweek did a story that said the white death rate in 10 states had surpassed the white birth rate. I went, oh shit, this thing is started. And ever since
That's white babies.
And that's why the great replacement theory, that's why they want to get 11 million Latinos out of this country. That's why they don't want no they don't want no Africans, no Bermudans, no Haitians. They want white purity, because what they are trying to do, Ome Congo, and that's what these districts are about. In Texas, 61% of Texas today is black, brown. It's minority. White people are the minority in Texas today. But Ome Congo, here's the problem. And this is why I keep telling all these Simple Simon dumbasses who keep saying otherwise. 61% of Texas is people of color, yet 61% of the people that vote in Texas are white.
It's white.
Yeah, and let's also add what they're doing to erode women's rights and to their own bodies, which makes it harder for black and brown families, particularly, to get.
No. But see, I'm gonna put that shit on them lazy ass white women, okay, who voting along with they white men. I ain't putting. No. Let me be real clear. I ain't putting women's rights with our shit, because that ain't women's rights. That's white women's rights. The bottom line is, and I'm being real specific here, because the problem is that them white women in Texas have been sitting on their ass or voting along with their white men, their white husbands, their white brothers, their white sons, their white nephews, because they also believe in patriarchy. And the bottom line is, listen, Pete Hegseth retweeted that clip of his white pastor, and none of these old punk-ass national media people have challenged him on how did you retweet a video of a white pastor who's his pastor, who is on record as saying he don't want women to vote. And see, and the reason I ain't putting black women in that shit, because guess what? Susan B. Anthony and the rest of them racist ass white women in the suffrage movement, they didn't want black women voting. In fact, she said, I'll be damned if a black man gonna have the right to vote before a woman has the right to vote. And that's why, what's that, Zabora? What's that poem black women love quoting? Ain't I a woman? Y'all better go read on the backstory of that poem, because the poem was written not to men. She wrote that poem to address the racist white women who did not want to include black women in the suffrage movement. That's just a little bit more history for the folk who don't read. Ome Congo, go ahead.
No, and I get your point. And I'm saying what I brought up the women's rights and access and all that, it makes it harder for black people to be able to reproduce. You know, we look at the mortality rate of pregnant black women and the like. That's where I was going with it. But the fact that the matter is, when it comes down to it, the thing that scared me about the history lesson that you just said about the amendments and the Civil Rights Act, like, we know that story, but then I start thinking, damn, these Republicans are so shrewd in what they're doing, the way that they're attacking the schools. How are the kids going to get that history? How the next generation going to get that history to be able to arm themselves to be able to fight, you know, which is why this network is so important, because they are hitting us from every single angle. Because if people don't know that story, or the constant Baker Martleys and the Dr. Kings and the like, who are going to be their idols as it relates to fighting for justice? They're going to feel like they can't do anything, because as Malcolm X said, if you were convinced that you never did anything, you're going to think you can never do anything. So they have a multi-pronged approach, and we need a multi-pronged strategy. And Democrats in Texas let us down as part of that strategy, but this is a fight that we have to keep fighting and speaking up for, because quite honestly, Roland, we don't have a choice. It's like you said a few months ago, you just refuse to sell out your ancestors. period, bottom line. And if more of us thought that way, we'd be able to make some progress right now. But too many people are just too complacent, and they think nothing's going to come from them. And then before you know it, you got 300,000 Black women being, kicked out of the workforce. People think they're going to come for them, and all of a sudden they're putting us in their detention centers as well. When are people going to wake up? If it's not now, I don't know when it's going to be, but I know that we have to keep on fighting because better days will be ahead if we don't quit.
You got somebody in the chat. Hold on, I responded to it. Denise Spa, too much cussing, going to watch Joy Reid show. Okay, bye. I mean, but you can get mad at the cussing. You can get mad at cussing. Well, you can get mad at cussing all you want to, but they screwing you over. You ain't even realize what's going on. I mean, see, the point that Ome Congo just made, it's by design what they doing when it comes to the schools. Because they freak. I keep trying to tell y'all, all of this stuff, y'all, it started with Obama's election in 2009. Then it picked up with Trump running. Y'all, American history is American history. You cannot, please, by all means, I dare any of y'all watching to refute what I'm about to say. You cannot show me a single period in American history where Black success has never been followed by white backlash. You can't find it. You cannot find it. At every point in American history, Black success has been immediately followed by white backlash. So why all of a sudden the attacks in the last 5 years on schools and books and everything? That shit ain't got nothing to do with no LGBT, trans, they ain't nothing to do with it. You know what had to do with it? The murder of George Floyd. Yep. Because when because the Black Lives Matter movement, Zabora, it was the first time in American history that a Black-focused, Black-centered movement saw a majority of Americans approve. And these white conservatives went, oh, hell no. So what did they do? There was a concerted, precision-like attack on Black Lives Matter. They said we cannot allow this movement to become as powerful as we saw the Black freedom movement in the 1960s. That's right. And they targeted 2021. In 2022, at racist Christopher Rufo, and he put it on Twitter. They said, we are going to put everything Black and everything minority under critical race theory. I told y'all, I was the news director, morning anchor at a Black targeted radio station, KKDA, managing editor of the Houston Defender, managing editor of the Dallas Weekly, worked for the Dallas Examiner, managing editor, general manager of the Chicago Defender. I wrote for Ebony. I was a contributing editor at Essence, major broadcaster cable network, Black, TV One, Black, Tom Joyner's Black America Web, Tom Joyner Morning Show, Black. In all of my years in Black media, I had never, ever heard of critical race theory. Because that was a legal theory. Yep. That I ain't never heard of that. But the white folks were like, oh, we gonna make that the boogeyman. And what did they do? They lumped everything under it. And what happened in 2023? All white folks would show up to school board meeting. Y'all teaching critical race theory. Superintendent, no, we're not. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, but guess what happened? It fired white folks up. They ran for school board. They ran in the midterms, and then white folks took over school boards, Moms for Liberty. You know what they started doing? Firing Black superintendents. In 2023, woke. You got dumbasses like Bill Maher complaining about woke. Woke is going too far. They took woke, like they took defund the police, and they changed the focus of it and tossed it right back and made it a massive negative. woke. Then Negroes are going, man, you better not be woke. You better not be woke. I'm like, dumbass, don't you realize what you've been saying? And then 2024, it was DEI. Y'all, all of that emanates from the murder of George Floyd because they said, we saw what you Negroes did after Emmett Till got lynched. That was 13 years of nothing but protests and laws change. That was the second Reconstruction. Then they said, we saw what you Negroes did after 243 years of slavery, and y'all had that Reconstruction period over that 12, 13 years, really lasted 6 to 7 years. We are not going to allow a third Reconstruction to last even 5 years. That is what happened. And Zabora, black folk, again, I understand, dancing, partying, Negroes are having a time of their lives in Martha's Vineyard, but I'm telling you right now, these white folks are coming after everything, and they do not want to leave anything to chance. And so we better wake the hell up and recognize that we had better be voting in massive numbers because they want to control it all.
For sure. That's why we have to get back to what our roots are. We have to educate each other. We've never needed the books and all the things. They benefited us, but oral history has been a part of our culture forever. If you get rid of or dilute the BRA Section 2, we're not going to be able to fight these things. Not only George Floyd, but Sandra Bland and all of the other things that were happening allowed us to mobilize. We got to get back to that mobilizing each other and understanding. You're definitely right. They said black women are the most educated. Now you see all of these black women that are laid off.
Boom!
Everything is
boom! I see, girl, sustained.
I'm just saying.
That's right.
If this is a courtroom, the judge was sustained. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. We got to fight back. We can't keep being quiet about it, allowing the people around us to say, oh, that's not important. Oh, we can't do nothing about it. I'm from Texas. I'm from Houston. If 61% of Texas is black people and we're not able to drive people in buses from the church to the polls anymore, they've been attacking our voting rights. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't attack it.
Right.
So it's time for us to get out there and do something about it.
Well, in fact, 61% of Texas is minority, not black. And Scott, learn to go with the damn bit. Yeah, I heard your little petty ass say, well, an objection has to be made before the judge say sustained. Yeah, I heard your little petty ass. I don't miss nothing. But so you go with the damn bit. When you make a point, you say sustained. But go on here and make your damn comment.
I respond to questions. You're just lecturing us tonight.
No, I'm not. No, Scott. No, Scott. No, Scott. No. All of us tonight, Scott, we don't need a question. All of us tonight are trying to actually teach people who are watching. Okay, because the problem is folk are acting like, man, this really ain't no big thing. They don't understand. And so fine, since you need a question, damn. So
I don't need a question.
No, yes, you do. Yes, you do. You need a question. No, you need a question. So here's the question, since you're begging for a question. Explain to people what happens when you codify Jim Crow 2.0 and racism that's not dressed as that way. Explain what happens when you codify it into law, how difficult it is to overturn it.
To decodify it, if you will.
There you go.
And you get an authoritarian democracy, which is essentially what we're living in. You codify racism, you devalue DEI. You know, DEI and the federal protections against race discrimination and discrimination against those protected classes, that's still on the books. But you see how Donald Trump and the Republicans in the House and Senate have bastardized it now not just turning around DEI and making it a bad name, but speaking it into existence. The media speaks it into existence, and now DEI is a bad word, if you will. And so you get the Supreme Court, where the expansion of executive powers of this Trump administration, you see the lower courts, the Article 3 courts, are striking down his attacks on the unions, his attacks on getting rid of agencies, his attacks on schools, his attacks on law firms, right? Well, the Article 3 courts, the lower courts, are all, if you fight, you win against Donald Trump because it has no real legal basis, even taking over D.C. or federalizing federal troops to come in here when there is no crisis whatsoever. And then you get to the Supreme Court and they expand his power to say, well, that's okay, maybe, or they give him just a little bit and he takes it and runs with it. And the amount of lies, these created facts that have no basis, that become the basis for these baseless lawsuits and stuff. So you either got to fight. If you can't afford to fight, you're going to be creating not only bad law, but bad legislation. And until the Democrats can get the House or even more, you've got to then undo everything Donald Trump has done. And these executive orders can be undone. But what about the damage that's been done for the last 4 years? When they shut down the museums and they start telling lies about our story, and all they want is a white, pristine story about the history of America. Even the founders said we are in search of a more perfect union, right? America has never been perfect, not for any of us. We've always wanted it to be something more than she is. And we see in the last election with Donald Trump, she is who we thought she was. And she's still that person, which is why we are not in a colorblind society under any circumstances. And my biggest concern is when Trump doesn't run again, and be careful because he might run again. There are pathways to that. Let's not sleep on that piece and stuff. But if the Democrats can't take the House back, right? How do you undo 4 years or more of this whitewashing, of these lies that are being told? If you look at the history of authoritarianism in communities and societies in other parts of the world, Donald Trump is the strong man of democracy. And I use democracy with a small d because he's not respecting the democracy at all. And because we voted him in, we, America, if you will, not me, not you, but America's voted him back in, there's a real sense in this country that what was the fight for? And what are we fighting about? Because this was America's choice. Now, it was a close race, much closer than he would let you think, but he's the master marketeer. He's the master at lying and making it become the nomenclature of America, including getting us distracted from Epstein, where he clearly was committing acts that would not be appropriate, and I'm trying to clean it up. But we're talking about D.C. and we're talking about Ukraine, right? We're not talking about the Epstein files anymore. We may never go back and talk about them. So whenever something...
Oh, yes, we will. Yes, we will.
This administration. Well, I hope so. But whenever we go back, when do we get back to all these issues and the undoing? You could spend the next 4 years after Trump is gone, if Trump is gone, undoing the damage he's done across arts, culture, science, academia, legal, politics, social. I mean, they are a full court press on changing who America is as opposed to who they want them to be, which is a majority white, super nationalist theocracy in many respects.
And see, Ome Congo, if you want to understand, and all these people may be saying, man, I just think y'all just doing a little too much. This is a media eyepiece. The disturbing rise of Nick Fuentes highlights dangers of alternative media in an anti-woke world. Who is Nick Fuentes? It says right here, in recent weeks, far-right provocateur...
He heads up the Boogaloo Boys,
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Far-right provocateur and white nationalist leader Nick Fuentes has been receiving accolades from many of his fellow pro-MAGA travelers for his ongoing feuds with the likes of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, as well as for his vicious anti-Israel rhetoric. Now, Glenn Greenwald, okay, fierce critic of Israel, so-called progressive, heaped praise on Fuentes in mid-August, saying, quote, he is, quote, spectacularly talented. I mean, he's like a very rare, generational talent in terms of his ability to go before the camera, attract attention, be charismatic, but he's not like a ranter and a raver. Nick Fuentes is very well read, very, very informed. There aren't a lot of folks who know more about Nick, who know more about the topics Nick Fuentes covers, and Nick Fuentes is very impressive. Added Greenwald, the former Guardian journalist turned podcaster. Omekongo, Glenn Greenwald is literally talking about an absolute, flat-out, decrepit racist. Look at this here.
Yes.
Vincent Oshana, a co-host on Patrick Bet-David's popular podcast, offered a similar take, agreeing that Fuentes is on a, quote, generational run. He added, and right now, I don't care what anybody says, he is freaking on fire. Bet-David also said he would be open to having Fuentes on his show, which would give him access to his massive audience and potentially bring him into their ecosystem. Last point. Who is Nick Fuentes, Omekongo? Oh, he's the racist who went with Kanye West to Mar-a-Lago and had lunch with Donald Trump. Why am I saying all of this, Omekongo? Because these people are openly praising somebody who is gleefully racist and a self-described white supremacist and anti-Semite. But for the right, he's their guy. So when you talk about, there are no guardrails. There is not, these are individuals. So I was on, remember Pat Bet-David was that fool I destroyed down in Florida. So he's saying, oh, I will gladly put on this nasty, despicable racist on my show. Wow.
Wow. I wouldn't even be surprised if Gavin Newsom had him on his podcast, because he's trying to reach out to these guys as well. And let's be mindful of the fact Greg Gutfeld, remember, he was on Fox talking about we need to make Nazi the new N-word for us, and laughing at it like it was a joke. They want to desensitize it all, and they were like, "Oh, what's up, my Nazi?" Like they said, he said we should do it like the blacks. The blacks use the N-word. Like we need to do that for Nazi. So all of these guys are having their moments now in the sun, but they've been doing it for years, and now they're being platformed, and it's disgraceful. But it's only more disgraceful if we don't wake up and speak to it and fight. These people who are liberals, Democrats, you want to be siding with the Nick Fuentes and them against Israel? No, you're anti-Netanyahu. This guy is anti-Jewish. It's a whole different conversation that people need to be having right now. And Nick Fuentes ain't the only one who's being platformed by these guys. They have made it impossible, oh no, not impossible, but they have made it extremely difficult for people to be called a racist and lose their career, to be called an anti-Semite or homophobe or Islamophobic and lose their career. They're getting paid. Some of us, I'm sure, saw that Mehdi Hassan Jubilee clip where they have like 20 young people who are just like Nick Fuentes, and now they're being platformed as well. This is America right now. For people who think that the youth are going to save us, the youth aren't going to save us if youth like this keep getting platformed. And we're not doing enough to uplift the people who are their age and similar or younger who are fighting this. And that needs to happen right now, because people just think, oh, the youth are going to come and there are young people out there who are doing this work. No, but these guys are having a platform, and they are all across the country I'm teaching on college campuses. They are emboldened right now. Look, last thing I'll say, in one of the high schools I work at, there was a girl who said, oh yeah, a white girl said to a black girl, oh, Trump got reelected. Now I can actually shoot you now in the middle of Fifth Avenue and nothing's going to happen to me. Like, this is happening in our schools. Yes. I know an 8-year-old who a girl said, oh, Trump is now in office. You better run. They're going to enslave you. So, and I know I said lastly, actually lastly. And now you
try to close like a Baptist preacher. Come on now.
To create racist literature to put in our schools for the founding of America's 250th year anniversary.
So I'm gonna read this here, and this is what y'all understand. Again, when you see the open embracing of a violent racist, understand they are mainstreaming him, and that's what they're doing. Like they mainstream and accepted and glossed over Trump's bigotry. This is what this Mediaite story says. Past action taken against Fuentes for his bigotry has now led many to embrace him, particularly as anti-woke sentiment permeates every corner of the MAGA base. Bet David pushed O'Shana on why he's embracing Fuentes now. And he replied, quote, "You know what it is? Because, okay, name the person that can't even be on YouTube. He can't be on YouTube because of the stuff that he says. They froze his bank account." Oh, y'all, the next paragraph says it. Fuentes was deplatformed in recent years over his explicit anti-Semitism, as well as his repeated calls for limiting the rights of women, minorities, and the LGBTQ community. And then there have been some stories saying he's actually gay. His regular use of violent rhetoric has also caused alarm. Now, Glenn Greenwald was praising Fuentes. Glenn Greenwald's also gay. That's insane to me. Okay? So I just want y'all to understand. I'm going to read this last one. In 2022, for example, Fuentes called for a dictatorship to get rid of, quote, the Jewish media that has made America's, quote, evil by making various things popular. Quote, sodomy is popular, you know, being gay is popular, being a feminist is popular, sex out of wedlock is popular, contraceptives are, that's all popular. That's not to say it's good, that's not to say I like that. Popular means that people support it, which they do. And it sucks, and it is what it is, but that's what we need, dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. He ranted, adding, we need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe or force them to play by our rules and reshape society. Let me say it again. I'm trying to see this quote again because I'm about to close this thing out. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe or force them to play by our rules and reshape the society. So folks, this white supremacist who had lunch with Trump and Kanye, who's now being openly embraced by right-wing MAGA stars, he is now being repositioned as a voice of reason, as a generational talent. What he's saying, they are using government to force us to believe what they want us to believe. Donald Trump is weaponizing the Federal Communications Commission to force media companies to get rid of DEI and do their bidding. So what Nick Fuentes has said, MAGA is doing that. And so if they are openly embracing an anti-Semite, a bigot, a racist, what do you think the next level is? They are going to make him one of their stars. And we are going to have a bigger bullseye on us. Y'all had better pay attention. This is why we keep telling people why they got to watch this show. Because y'all, everything we predicted was going to happen has happened. Zabor, thanks a lot. Scott, thanks a lot. Congo, I appreciate you being on the panel. Thanks a lot as well. Folks, I didn't go to a commercial break because I needed y'all to understand the importance. I'm going to run the Spike Lee interview tomorrow. The doctor we have for breast cancer, I got to do tomorrow because this was too important. This was too important for us to take even one break. Y'all, I'm telling you what's going on. These people are playing for keeps. They may be smiling, they may be touting these black folks wearing MAGA hats, but they want to defund and destroy everything in Black America, everything that we have fought for since the end of slavery. They want it all back. And we cannot be silent and complicit as it happens. Folks, your support of this show is crucial. Ain't nobody else doing what we're doing. Nobody else is doing what we're doing. We're not going to stop. Y'all, we got to keep telling truth. I want to launch 2-3 other daily shows. I got the folks in mind right now. Simply can't afford them. But I'm telling you right now, people say, man, we need to have more of you. Yeah, we got to pay them. They got to live. They got families. There's an existential crisis that we are facing. And we had better recognize the emergency that's happening before our very eyes. You want to support our work? Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Contribute to our show. Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. Pull the music down. It's too loud. Stripe QR code, please. Use it right here for Cash App. Click the Cash App button to contribute. You can use the same QR code for credit cards. If you want to see a checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. All of y'all in the YouTube chat, y'all should be hitting the like button, y'all. We should easily be at 3,000 likes. I don't understand for a second why we at 1,500. It's been more than 4,000 of y'all in there commenting all day. Folks, be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. If you want to get our Black Star Network, Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, t-shirts, hats, mugs, you name it, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for all of our merchandise. If you had ordered any stuff from Custom Spring and haven't gotten it, send us an email, and please, we'll work with you on that. QR code is right there for our products as well. If you want any of these Black-owned products that we have here, you see them on our set, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for these Black-owned products because we support Black-owned businesses. And so here's your opportunity to support these Black-owned products. They're all right there on the website. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for our marketplace, shopblackstarnetwork.com for our marketplace. Come on, thank you. Come on, let's move it. And don't forget, folks, download Fanbase. We want, there's a black-owned social media app. We want to add another 1 million followers, 1 million downloads to Fanbase. And if you want to invest, go to startengine.com/Fanbase, startengine.com/Fanbase. Folks, that's it for us. I appreciate it. I'm going to play some of the content from the Live Golf. Had a great time. Thanks to Scott O'Neill, their CEO. Thanks to AJ Calloway and his company. They invited us out. There were a bunch of other people who were there. I'm going to run some of that content later in this week. We have the Spike Lee interview, the other stuff. But we had to focus on this because it was just too important. Folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. And yes, I'm wearing my John Lewis shirt. Get into good trouble, necessary trouble. That's what all of us needs to be doing. Folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!